Want to keep up with the latest LEGO Maker 96.1 videos? Make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Hello everyone, LEGO Maker 96.1 here with another video. And welcome back to another On This Day in History. On this day in history, on May 2nd, 1863, Confederate troops under the command of Thomas Jonathan Stonewall Jackson performed a flanking maneuver on the left flank of the Union Army during the Chancellorsville campaign. Right flank, my mistake, it was right flank. Now, the Chancellorsville campaign began in late April of 1863 during the American Civil War. Now, for those who don't know who Thomas Jonathan Jackson is many call him Stonewall Jackson because if you remember from the first major battle of the American Civil War, Bull Run, or Manassas as our Southern boys call it, led his troops into battle during the battle and held his line on whatever hill Jackson was on. When Confederate troops were pulling back in 61 during the Bull Run battle, General Bernard Bee rode up to Jackson telling him that their line on Matthew Hill was broken and the Union forces were beating them back. Then he told them, and Jackson told Bee, we must give them the bayonet. It was there, according to legend, that the name Stonewall Jackson was born. And the reason why he was called Stonewall, because Bernard Bee said he and his brigade, who would later be christened as the Stonewall Brigade, said they stood like a stone wall, and the name stuck. Now, Jackson in particular, he's a religious guy, and he was a veteran of the war with Mexico and an instructor at Virginia Military Institute, and a leader of the Confederate Army. Now, it was there at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Jackson began his flank march in order to get around the Union Army. Now, the Union Army at the time was under the command of Joseph Hooker. Now, mind you, the Union Army was going through commanders left and right. So, yeah, it was a long time before they got to Grant. So there's that. Now, according to some reports or eyewitness accounts, Union troops who were encamped at the time, most of them were drilling, most of them were cleaning their rifles or writing letters to home, reading books, playing games, and all this stuff, claimed they saw animals running out of the forests. Those animals I'm referring to were deers, but Jackson's men were right behind them. So what they were caught completely off guard, many of the Union troops ran for their lives, grabbing whatever they can and got the hell out of there. Now, the flank was under the command of General Oliver Otis Howard. That's this guy right here. Now, he lost an arm during the war, and he took command of the 11th Corps. Now, the 11th Corps at the time, they were German troops. I should know because I'm part German. And I don't have any ancestors in the 11th Corps in the Army of the Potomac. And most of the troops, German troops in that battle, were scapegoats because of what happened. I tell you, that is uncalled for. It's not their fault. It's Jackson and the Rebs. Now, if you watch the 2003 film Gods and Generals, which talks about the rise and fall of Thomas Jonathan Jackson, we saw Chancellorsville happen, and many of these northern boys ran for their lives. And again, they grabbed whatever they got delayed the Confederates as much as they can, and they got the hell out of there. And we also saw the Chancellorsville battle in the History Channel TV series called Civil War Combat, which is my favorite TV series, by the way. And after the 11th Corps was routed on that flank, Confederate troops later occupied the camp, although many of their troops were scattered. And Jackson, in particular, rode out in the dead of night to scout out a Union position, and his staff was with them. On the way back, soldiers of the 18th North Carolina mistaken Jackson and his staff for Federal cavalry. So they leveled their muskets and they took aim at Jackson. One officer told them to stop firing, you're shooting at your own men. And one soldier cried out that it's a lie, and they continue fighting this supposed enemy. Now, two of Jackson's aides fell dead, but Jackson himself was wounded, struck twice in the left arm, shattering bones in his arm, and was later amputated when they took him back to a Union hospital. But along the way back, they carried Jackson on a stretcher, and they actually dropped Jackson, and that it caused him to get pneumonia. Now, although Jackson recovered from the amputation, and he continued to linger on until the 10th of May, he died. Now, on his deathbed, before he died, he was giving out orders to A.P. Hill and many others to carry out the maneuver. Then he said, "Let us cross over the river and rest under the shade of the trees before we're checking out." That's another way of saying he died. And while Jackson was recuperating before he died, Confederate troops actually won Chancellorsville, which was a devastating defeat for the Union forces in the time. And Lincoln, in response to the Chancellorsville campaign ending in a Confederate victory, said, my God, what will our country think?" Now, Chancellorsville in particular is pretty much talked about in many historical classes and textbooks and documentaries about the Civil War as a whole. But it was also one of Lee's greatest victories. Now, in response to Jackson, Lee actually said that he lost his left arm, but I have lost my right, meaning he lost his right-hand man. And mind you, Lee and Jackson were pretty much like the dynamic duo of the Confederacy. But my heart still goes out to those brave Union men. And now, a moment of silence for brave Union men who perished during the Chancellorsville battle. And a moment of silence for our Confederate fallen. Well, that was fun. And, yeah. And that's pretty much it for this video. And apologies in advance if it seems a little rushed. I mean, I did jump right into it without studying the video before then. And I do know about the Chancellorsville battle. Well, I read a lot of books, seen a lot of documentaries explaining on the battle, so yeah. And if you like this video, and if you want to see more like this, please feel free to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell notifications so that way you can be notified if I upload the next video. And as always, this is LEGO Mega 96 1 signing off.